Welcome back to The Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here today. We're zooming in on a place you've probably seen in the headlines like 1,000 times, but I guarantee you've never seen it quite like this. We're talking about the Strait of Hormuz. Now, on the surface, you know it as this incredibly tense geopolitical fault line, a remarkably narrow stretch of water separating Iran and Oman. But as we're going to see today, it's also a place of profound, almost unbelievable paradox.
The most dangerous pressure point on Earth is also a hidden sanctuary. That quote right there pretty much nails exactly what we're looking at today. It totally validates what we all already know, right? This is literally one of the most dangerous pressure points on the planet. One single confrontation here could just rattle global energy markets and shake political stability. But beyond that heavy military shadow, way beyond the headlines, this region is this hidden sanctuary of staggering natural beauty and deeply ancient history. So our goal today is to pull back the curtain and reveal both faces of this fascinating choke point.
Okay, let's dive right into the geopolitical reality first. Think about the sheer scale of the world's reliance on this one narrow little passage. Up to 21% of all global oil consumption squeezes right through the Strait of Hormuz. And what's even more fascinating is where all that energy is actually heading. Over 70% of the crude oil flowing through here is destined for Asian economies. We're talking about places like China, Japan, and India. It makes it a massive core national security issue for them. The entire global economy basically rests on ships crossing these waters without a single interruption. Just to put that into a daily perspective for a second, in 2024, roughly 20 million barrels of oil move through Hormuz every single day. 20 million. And that's on top of roughly a fifth of the entire global liquefied natural gas trade. It's wild. Just one delay here, and the effects ripple out across refineries and financial centers on totally different continents. The global economy might operate on these vast, interconnected networks, but its absolute lifeblood, it has to pass through this tiny, highly concentrated gate. So consider the intense physical squeeze happening here. Between Larik Island and the Musandam Peninsula, the whole strait shrinks down to about 33 kilometers at its narrowest point. But here is the real kicker. The actual usable shipping lanes, they're way smaller. They're only about 3 kilometers wide in each direction, with just a tiny buffer in between. This geometry literally forces some of the world's most valuable cargo into these incredibly tight, predictable lines. Every single vessel has to follow a strictly defined path, which means, you guessed it, every single movement is closely watched. And that narrow 3-kilometer corridor creates a really intense architecture of pressure. When you're in a space this small, geography essentially becomes strategy. On one side, you have Oman acting as the eye in the sky, coordinating traffic with a massive radar station perched right on top of Jebel Haring Mountain. Then, right across the water, Iranian naval forces are operating dozens of fast attack craft, coastal defense systems, and anti-ship missiles with ranges well over 100 kilometers. That places pretty much the entire corridor right in the crosshairs. Throw in a fleet of surveillance drones, and you've got this confined space where distance feels incredibly short, and every single decision feels undeniably heavy. But hey, remember that whole paradox we talked about at the very beginning? Well, we are about to completely flip the script. While all the superpowers are busy watching the water, the land itself is quietly keeping secrets that literally predate human history. So ask yourself, what kind of island hides rivers of salt right beneath its surface? What kind of mountain slowly just dissolves into caves of crystal? Let's find out. Part 1. Colors and Caves of Hormuz, a geological masterpiece. Okay, stepping away from the military hardware and the radar pings for a minute, let's just think about the raw physical geography of this place. Take Rainbow Valley on Hormuz Island. This tiny volcanic island reveals just an astonishing palette. You've got layers of iron oxide staining the earth in these massive slopes of deep crimson, sulfur compounds painting the ridges in vibrant golds and yellows, and salt deposits adding these stark flashes of white and amber. It honestly looks like giant brushstrokes on an enormous canvas. And the cool part? With every single storm, the wind and rain mix these minerals into completely new patterns across the desert ground. And get this, just beneath those colorful hills lies something even more incredible. We're talking about the Hormuz Salt Caves. Deep inside the island, ancient mineral layers were actually pushed upward from beneath the Earth's crust. Now, small streams of mineral water trickle through the cave floor, slowly dissolving the salt and carving out this absolutely luminous underground labyrinth. So here's the crucial contrast I really want you to see. While these massive oil tankers are racing against the clock up on the surface, just a few meters below them, the Earth is quietly reshaping itself,
drop by drop in slow, patient geological time. Now, this geological wonder doesn't stop there. It actually continues over on nearby Keshem Island. It's the Middle East's first UNESCO Global Geopark, and the whole island basically reads like an open geology textbook. You've got folded sedimentary hills, fully exposed salt domes, and these narrow canyons that twist through pale rock. And despite the intensely harsh sunlight, life totally thrives here. There are mangrove forests just patiently breathing along the tidal shores, creating this vibrant living ecosystem right beside some of the busiest shipping lanes in the world.
Honestly, this entire paradox we've been talking about is perfectly captured by just one single mountain, Jebel Harim. On one side, you have Oman's towering 2,000-meter military outpost. Its radar is constantly locked onto the strait, micromanaging global maritime traffic. But then, on the exact same mountain, its slopes are literally a prehistoric ocean bed. It holds marine fossils from back before the Arabian Peninsula even rose out of the sea. And today, those exact same cliffs are a thriving ecosystem for the incredibly agile Arabian tar, desert foxes, and Egyptian vultures just gliding on the thermals. So you have high-stakes danger and ancient natural wonder literally sharing the exact same rock. How wild is that?
Part 2. Ancient crafts, quiet shores, humanity at the choke point. This enduring paradox actually brings us right down to the human scale, because think about it, people haven't just been navigating this tense waterway for the last 50 years, they've been living right alongside it, shaping it, and being shaped by it for centuries. Take the Portuguese Strait of Hormuz, for example, just rising up from the island's red soil. It was built way back in the early 16th century out of coral stone and red earth, and it was designed to guard the exact same maritime choke point we worry about today. But back then, ships weren't carrying liquefied natural gas. They were packed with spices, silk, pearls, and silver from across the Indian Ocean. Today, its empty arches and weathered walls just stand as a quiet witness. They remind us that while empires inevitably change and trade routes shift, this one strait has rarely, if ever, lost its importance. And the people here didn't just build fortresses to survive, they built some seriously ingenious adaptations to their environment. If you go to the old city of Loft on Keshem Island, you'll spot these brilliant structures called wind catchers. They're these tall, slender towers rising up above the coral stone houses. And they do exactly what they sound like. They're specifically designed to catch the sea breeze and pull that cool air straight down into the shaded rooms below. It's this incredibly elegant, centuries-old piece of tech that shows a community that figured out a long time ago exactly how to live in harmony with the relentless heat in the sea.
And even today, that ancient connection to the water is very much alive. Right near the modern military installations on Keshem, you can still hear the hollow, steady sound of wood being shaped completely by hand. We're talking about the traditional crafting of Iranian lenge boats. It's actually a skill recognized as a UNESCO intangible cultural heritage. It's amazing to think about. Step 1. The craftsmen raise these thick, beautifully curved wooden ribs right up from the sand. Step 2. They shape the planks perfectly by hand, so they meet with absolutely zero visible gaps. And finally, Step 3. They tighten the entire structure using ropes before even touching a metal fastener. It's all about quiet precision passed down from master to apprentice for generations. Now, if we look across the water to the Musandam Peninsula, the coastal landscape over there is equally dramatic. Welcome to the Arabian fjords. Over thousands of years, intense tectonic forces pushed up these incredibly steep limestone ranges, while the sea carved deep, gorgeous turquoise inlets right between them. Honestly, it looks as if the desert just falls off a cliff straight into the ocean. And quietly navigating the waters at the bottom of these massive stone ranges? Traditional wooden fishing boats, which is just a staggering contrast to the massive multi-million-dollar oil tankers churning by just a few miles away. Our journey through this human landscape takes us to one final, really remarkable destination, Qamzar Village. It's tucked away into an inlet right at Oman's northern tip, and it is totally isolated by these rugged cliffs and deep fjords. You can pretty much only get there by boat. And what's so fascinating is that while modern cities are just exploding with growth across the Gulf, life in Qamzar moves gently. It's rooted in these daily rhythms governed entirely by fishing, the weather, and the tides. But what makes Qamzar truly special is the language its people speak. It's called Qamzari, and it's this incredibly rare linguistic blend of Persian, Arabic, and much older regional dialects. This language is literal living proof of the centuries of maritime trade that have funneled through this exact strait. It proves that culture around here doesn't survive by isolating itself. It survives through a deep, endearing connection to the sea and all the diverse people who travel across it. So that brings us right back to our core thesis for today, the paradox of place.
On one side, we have this fleeting, modern tension. It's an architecture of pressure built out of drones, anti-ship missiles, and 24/7 radar surveillance, carefully watching millions of barrels of oil. But then, directly beneath and right beside it is this enduring, ancient landscape. We're talking luminous salt caves, breathing mangrove forests, ancient redstone forts, and these quiet communities bound by the wind and the tides.
Danger, history, and hidden beauty meet at the edge of the sea. Guys, this is exactly why truly grasping the full context of the Strait of Hormuz matters so much. It isn't just a red trigger point on some geopolitical map in a war room. It's a living, breathing environment where nature is still calmly creating its gentlest, most beautiful moments, right alongside one of the most tense maritime routes on our entire planet. Which leaves us with this one final thought. While the world's superpowers are so fiercely focused on watching the geopolitical chessboard, what other ancient, breathtaking marvels are we completely missing just beneath the surface? Keep that in the back of your mind the very next time you see a headline about the Strait of Hormuz. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in this explainer, and I absolutely cannot wait to dive into our next topic.